Hi, Alan Schimmel, DevOps.com here at DevOps Enterprise Summit London, and I'm here with Justin Dean, SVP of Platforms
And Tech Ops.
and Tech Ops at Ticketmaster.
Ticketmaster.
Justin, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Justin. We've been fortunate enough to hear a little bit about the Ticketmaster DevOps transformation journey. I think prior, maybe at the last DevOps Enterprise Summit in San Francisco, but for our audience, why don't we give them a quick kind of level set of what you guys are doing around DevOps, and then we could jump in from there.
Yeah, sure. So, we have been officially on our DevOps transformation for the last couple years, and we have essentially built a cross-functional teams across the entire company. Tons of, we're treating them like autonomous business product teams now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of our next wave has been really around maturing our DevOps practices. So we like any other enterprise who's been around a while, our level of complexity and scale makes, going DevOps kind of interesting to say the least, right? So I think as a culture we are use the lingo. We've organized ourselves around being able to execute on it. So now we're in the phase where I would say that we're DevOps, but we're increasing our maturity and our performance levels around what that actually means to deliver products faster. So we're sort of in that stage now where optimization, quantifying our practices, and measuring our output.
So you're moving from DevOps childhood or toddler stage into more mature, at least, I don't want to say adult, but a more mature stage of it. But you know what, Justin, that is, it's interesting because we're at a place where so many companies are beginning their DevOps journeys. They're dipping their toes in the water. They're starting this process, and we tend to not idolize them, but we tend to say, "Hey, good boy, that a fella, right? Good work." But yet they've really just begun the journey.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much more that they have to do.
Yeah, it's a what we've found essentially is it takes a long time to change a culture, right? And words don't do it. You have to have action and repeated wins, and the culture has to really buy into the practices, and they have to see it and embrace it because it's helpful, not just because it's like hip, right?
Right. Or that it's being forced on them. They have to really buy into it.
Yeah. It has to create value for them to want to use it.
For any business, right?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate test. The other thing I've seen, Justin, I've seen a few people we interviewed this morning actually use the term. They call it pockets of DevOps. So we're getting pockets.
Yeah.
But we're not. It's not blanketing, let's say, the organization.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It sort of weaves into exactly where we're at right now, right? One of the challenges that we've had is we've DevOpsed as a company, right? It's our practices, it's our policies, it's who we are now, and then we see some teams are much better at performing and delivering products than others, and then when you talk to them and you use verbal communication, it's hard to flush out what's different, right? Like this team says that they're DevOpsing, this team says that they're DevOpsing. This team is really better at doing, and then when you dive in, you start seeing things like taking old practices, old processes, and sort of rebranding them as DevOps. Mm-hmm. And you get things like maybe a team that, we do our own releases and we operate our own products, right? And then you find out that, well, it's actually one dude on the team who can do it, and we've just labeled him as ops. And then if he's not there or on vacation, we don't do a release. And there's a lot of tribal knowledge, and it's not in an automated form, or repeatability is not there, right? And but it's hard to flush that out when the team thinks that we've DevOps, because we don't have to put a ticket to another team.
Right.
It's within our team. So we've been working on maturity models around getting very objective scores and quantifying the actual performance levels through the capabilities and scoring them get rid of those pockets, or to understand where those pockets exist, and to give them a clear roadmap on what do they need to do to raise their performance levels.
Fantastic. Let me pivot a little bit, Justin, and talk about DevOps Enterprise Summit here in London. So what kind of drove you to fly halfway around the world from Hollywood, California?
Yeah,
to London?
so for me it was it's a great place to communicate and collaborate with your peer group. And interesting enough for me, after being part of Ticketmaster and being in the day-to-day complexities of a 40-year-old technology business, and I sort of feel like, man, we're in this really slow, really old company trying to modernize, and then coming here, even my presentation and everything, I was still thinking of us as being an old company. And then coming here and hearing from the peer groups and, me thinking old because we're 40 years. And then there was a company that was talking about their transformation, and they started their company in 1200. It was like,
right, we had the
and
Her
Barclays.
Majesty's Tax Service.
Yeah.
Who's, it's the tax collector, the sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah.
You've probably heard of them.
Yeah.
And here they are today going digital.
Yeah.
Or Barclays also 300 years.
Yeah,
plus.
300 years old, and it was sort of like, wow. And then I see it at the same. They have the same challenges that we have, and they're not fundamentally different challenges, right?
No.
It's changing a culture that has baked in muscle memory, because that used to work, and now they're trying to figure out. The market is changing around them, so they're quickly trying to figure out how do we evolve all of our practices and all of our shared understanding of how it used to work into the new thing or into the new model.
Sure.
So I think it's definitely a challenge.
That's what DevOps is about, and that's what the DevOps Enterprise Summit is about. Well, Justin, thanks very much for joining us. Thank you for presenting at the DevOps Enterprise Summit, and hopefully we'll get an update out in San Francisco in November.
Yeah, you bet. We'll definitely be there. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is Alan Schimmel for DevOps.com.